Moneka Flores is an activist and an
Right
artist.
now I'm a member of Independent Guahan, which is a collective of grassroots organizers who are coming together to do a lot of outreach and public education work and programming to try to engage our people in the conversations about decolonization and also to promote independence as a vital possibility for our future. And I'm also involved in Protehi Latexan, which is also a group of women. Actually, it's just a group of concerned residents coming together who want to address some of the environmental and cultural challenges, as well as the rights of the original landowners in regard to access to Latexan. And I'm also in Fanogi Famalawan, which is a group of women who came together to organize events to support the struggles, the fight against the struggles at Standing Rock.
Like hundreds of local families, Moneka comes from those that own ancestral land taken by the military. Her family's property is in Jinapsan. The land takings after World War II have left deep scars and continued frustration over access and ownership.
It's affected everything from our knowledge of our environment to the ways we cultivate our resources, to our language, and to our relationships with each other. So I think that that story is a critical part of a lot of the activism that is here. It's part of the trauma that still exists and the generational trauma that continues to be passed down. I also feel like we were allowed access to a small parcel left in Jinapsan, and just like other families in Arunau or Latexan who are able to access parts of our ancestral lands, those lands are sacred. There are laddie stones there are other artifacts. In some cases, even some ancestors are still laid to rest there. And so for a lot of us who come from those families, I think that that's one of the underlying motivations, is trying to right the wrongs or address the injustices that have been done to our families and been done and continue to be done, because there are many other ways that people are still trying to, I should say there are many other ways that we experience continued injustice and colonization and continued oppression here on Guahan.
During last year's Festival of Pacific Arts and Culture, Moneka was front and center, taking part in the message to decolonize Oceania, free Guahan.
This picture is quite telling because in Paseo, there's this huge American flag hanging over the Guam flag. And for the whole 2 weeks, delegates would ask us, why is the colonial flag taking over the land of this nation, the Chamorro homeland? And so these conversations were taking place the whole time. You know, we might have been sharing techniques, we were definitely learning from each other, but these conversations for political struggle were key throughout the whole week. And there's a collective of us, a lot of friends and activists came together, and we decided that we needed to make a statement. And so we used our raps for these words, decolonize Oceania, free Guahan. And we brought those in. A lot of people didn't know we brought those into Paseo, and we unraveled them when Guam came out, when the Guam delegation came out, and it was just gorgeous. We had people cheering for us and crying, and it was a very emotional moment. We had other delegations, you know, also putting up their fists, saying, you know, they stand in solidarity with us. And
her activism is also evident in her art, currently on display at the Guam Museum. This particular piece is called Kahulu, or Rise Up. It's a play on the laddie stone, a cultural symbol of strength for the Chamorro people.
I thought it was a great symbol to sort of use to articulate that message of asking our people to rise up, while at the same time playing on or combining the symbolism of the laddie stone as well. So the fists are similar in shape to the laddie stone, but they're also mounted on brick to sort of think about sort of the cornerstone. And I also love the Bob Marley lyric, the stone that the builder refused shall be the head cornerstone. And I feel like a lot of us can relate to that lyric, particularly because people of color, people who have been oppressed, indigenous people who have been displaced or oppressed, we have been cast out, we have been rejected. In a lot of ways, we are just collateral damage, the setting in which these larger geopolitical struggles are taking place, and these struggles for power and control, whether economic or environmental, art take precedent over human rights. And so that is why I really kind of identified with that symbol and really wanted to put them together.
Moneka says her art and activism is about cultivating consciousness to promote the work of the Chamorro people to be more empowered and to address injustices, despite those who might disagree.
There's a lot to do, and I feel like in some ways our activists have been marginalized. I feel like in a lot of ways there's a stigma around being an activist because we also come from a culture that is hospitable, that is warm, that you also don't make too much noise because it's being disattentive or being disrespected, right? But that's changing. It's changing because that is a critical part of our role. Now we have people saying, thank you for doing the work. Thank you for doing the work, and we have family members, maybe even and relatives who say, thank you for raising your voice because I can't raise mine. And so I would say that people can find themselves in the movement wherever they feel most comfortable. It doesn't matter if you've been, if you're just now coming and there's people who've been there ever since. Everybody has a role to play. It's time. We need everybody.